Good morning, my renegades. Welcome back to Rogue Radio. My name is Sarah Jane, and today is going to be Renegade Times because I still have to have some more time to, write things down for Don't Mock the Music. So, yeah, let's just get into it. And also, links in the description below. I know I've been pretty lazy with that. I'll do my best to not be. Thanks. For those of you who do not know and are not on my Instagram, I am also on an app called AMP, A-M-P, and I guess it's like a music streaming, DJing sort of thing. So come and hang out, I guess. I'm still trying to learn the app and how to use it and stuff, but yeah, come join me if you're on there. Okay, before we get into the politics and stuff, let me just say something. The Amber Heard and Johnny Depp case. I know I don't usually talk about celebrity stuff. If I do, I talk about it briefly because most of the time I focus on different things. But I'm Team Johnny, just to let y'all know. Okay? Anyway, now that I've gotten that out of my system, for some dumb reason, I believe there's a conspiracy going on. We do know that, Amber Heard is a garbage person. She is a person that has abused Johnny. We know this. We know all the evidence is starting to stack up against her and everything. And her attorneys are just dumb as doornails. It is just hilarious. One of her attorneys asked somebody a question on the stand, and he objected himself, saying that it was, speculation? Or hearsay. Yeah, no, he's like, objection, hearsay. And I was just like, yo, you're gonna object yourself? And then, I guess, the other attorney, the blonde pitbull woman, I say pitbull because she acts pretty tough in the courtroom. Anyway, she holds up this makeup quad by some sort of cosmetics. I don't know name brands. I only know the name brands that I use, but apparently this is like the makeup quad that she used in order to cover up her bruises. But then the makeup company came out and said, yo, that's not it, because, we came out with that right, way after y'all broke up. Because you couldn't possibly have your hands on that when we haven't come out with it yet. And in my head, I'm like, okay, sometimes makeup companies give celebrities prototypes in order to use so that they can endorse their product. But I'm pretty sure the makeup company would have already said that, she would have, I don't know. It's just stupid. Why would you lie about makeup, of all things? But anyway, the big conspiracy, though, is that we do know now that Elon Musk dated Amber Heard, and he's been shown with bruises on his face and stuff like that, and apparently, I might be wrong about this, but he actually might be defending her as she's going through this, and I don't know why, for one, but okay, he bought Twitter. That's something that I was going to talk about last episode, but something else caught my attention. But he bought Twitter. So how is Amber Heard and her ex in the news at the same time? Does this mean that Elon Musk is being used to delete evidence on Twitter, or the stupid things that she used to say on Twitter. I mean, think about it. How are both people in the news right now? That don't make any sense to me. And on top of all that, like he bought Twitter, so now he's trying to update Twitter and try to make things a little bit more free speech like and everything, which is cool. I mean, if that's actually what you're gonna do, go ahead and do it, bro, but something's up. Why do you own Twitter now? Are you trying to delete evidence so that way Amber Heard can win the case for lack of evidence? I don't know. I don't know if Amber Heard even uses Twitter, or I know Johnny Depp probably does, but you know what I mean? Like, it could be, there could be something there. There could be something there. But, yeah. We all know that Amber Heard is guilty, and I just kind of want to wake you all up for a minute. Just because one person is not liked in the courtroom and that everything is coming up against her or against this person doesn't mean they don't have a possibility of winning the case. And the only reason why I say that is because most court cases don't go our way the way that we would like to. So, and I think she still has yet to testify, because right now we're hearing Johnny's side, but we do have to hear Amber's side as well. And there's at least maybe maybe 2 or 3 things that are going to happen in this case. What I've been predicting is that, one, her and her attorneys are going to blame everything on her mental illness so that she doesn't have to do any jail time or pay any fine or whatever. I don't know how this court case is working out as far as the verdict goes, but one, she's probably going to blame everything on her borderline personality disorder that she's been diagnosed with, and hysteric personality disorder. I never heard of that one, but so yeah, blaming everything on her mental illness. Or, since there's a climate now of men being demonized for just having a penis, they're going to spin it the feminist way and say, well, men are all dogs and they all should be locked up and they're all misogynistic and abusive. And since we live in a society today where everyone in the Me Too movement believes that that is absolutely true, she does have a small chance at winning this case because of how society is looking at men now. As far as I know, everybody wants Johnny to win, and I really, really do. I really hope that he does win this case. And I'm not trying to make Johnny Depp look like a saint here either. Of course, he's made mistakes in this relationship, and he's not that innocent either. I do believe that they were both toxic to each other while they were married, and it just wasn't the best situation to be in, especially since spiritually he does have a generational curse, because he repeated the same thing that his father was in. His father was in an abusive relationship with his wife at the time, because his mom would abuse his father, and seeing that and being in that environment is all that Johnny knew. And so he ended up gravitating to Amber, who was just as abusive. And that's how I see it spiritually. But yes, Those two things could actually be happening, or could happen when she takes a stand and testifies. Oh, it's my mental illness, or oh, he's an abuser, and all this other stuff. But either way, if she wins or loses, she's still going to lose in a great way, because for one, Johnny Depp gave her that role in Aquaman. She's not going to get that role back. Especially since Jason Momoa has been backing him up and he can say one word and she can be fired. If she wins, she's not going to have any work. She's going to be unsuccessful. And sure, she might have a lot of money from this if she wins. But also, the fans of Johnny Depp are probably going to go on a witch hunt after her, despite Johnny Depp maybe saying, hey, don't do that. Because everybody hates her now, and that's not going to change after the court hearing, after all of this is over. If she does lose, I still see it the same way. People are not going to like her, she's not going to be successful, she won't have a job, she's going to have to be forced to do something with her life, or go into the same cycle, which we do know that mentally ill people do if they refuse to change and marry a rich man and abuse him as well. That's how I see it. But anyway, I know that was a lot. I guess I was just thinking a lot about it because I've been watching the case since day 6 to day 9, and I haven't even watched any court hearings before then or after. I'm still pretty behind, but I've just been thinking about it a lot because I've been watching it. Okay, now it's time for politics, our favorite subject in the news. Not really. I really wish politics didn't exist. Oh yeah, that good old gray old chap Joe is in the news again, blaming Republicans for classroom culture wars. So, let's get into this.
Well, the president makes some politically charged statements while presenting the 2022 Teacher of the Year Award. One America's Tom McGrath explains.
And I have to really listen to you, which I know Senator Cardona has been doing.
Joe Biden laments several obstacles surrounding education, while shifting blame away from his political allies. On Wednesday, the president, his wife Jill, and Education Secretary Miguel Cardona presented Kurt Russell with the Teacher of the Year Award. While commending Russell's commitment to his students, Biden noted the importance of teachers in his own life, specifically in helping him to overcome his stutter. Biden also touched upon the difficulties faced by students in the COVID era. However, he failed to mention that many of the complications stemmed from his CDC's policy.
And just the socialization that they were missing in so many places for so long. It's estimated they're 5 to 7 months behind their education right now. The American people saw it.
Biden does, however, have a track record of looking out for the interests of teachers' unions. According to emails released by Republicans in the House Select Subcommittee on the Coronavirus Crisis, the American Federation of Teachers dictated several CDC guidelines for schools. The email showed that AFT members were allowed to provide their own edits to CDC policy in order to keep schools closed longer as millions of American students fell behind on their education. Biden also used his time at the podium to criticize many of his political opponents, who have passed laws giving parents more power over their students' curriculum.
Today, there are too many politicians trying to score political points, trying to ban books, even math books. I mean, did you ever think, even your younger teachers, did you ever think we teach?
I thought Democrats did that because somehow it was discriminatory against children. I'm just saying, Joe keep track of your own party, stupid. Like, what the heck? Is he okay? I mean, I know he's not okay, but, I mean, the dementia-ridden bro is, trying to blame Republicans about banning math books. I mean, to me, I really hate math, but I do know that it's very important, especially simple math, because we use it every day. So why in the world would anyone want to pick a fight with a math book? That sounds like a social justice warrior problem, which the left definitely is proud of those social justice warriors, just saying.
You teaching, you're going to be worrying about book burnings and banning books? All because it doesn't fit somebody's political agenda.
One of the alleged book burners, Florida Governor Ron DeSantis, signed the Parental Rights in Education bill earlier this month, barring any form of sexual education before the 4th grade. However, the bill also prevents other kinds of content in textbooks, such as a math book containing a problem about a pimp, prostitute, and pole dancer. But, according to Biden, removing such content at the request...
Okay, to me that sounds very sensible, because sexual education shouldn't be taught at such an early age. I mean, the government can't always step in for the parents' responsibility to teach kids about sex and how sex works. And, dancer and a pimp? Like, okay, why is that even in a math book? I mean, thank you, Ron DeSantis, for banning that book. Oh my god. But... stupid.
Quest of parents is turning children into political pawns.
We gotta stop making the target of the culture wars. That's where this is going.
Dude, your left actually started the cultural wars. You guys decided to put critical race theory in schools. You really want to complain about something like that? And not look at your own party and say, what the frick are you guys doing? Ron DeSantis is basically just doing his job and looking after the kids in his own... He's a governor, right? In his own state. I just don't understand. Like, I understand now why Biden was like, oh, Republicans are banning math books. But you don't get the whole story. Kids don't need to be learning about prostitution in a math book.
Look, these aren't... We always talk about these children. They're not someone else's children. They're our children.
Tom McGrath.
They are someone else's children because you didn't make them, Joe. Joe. Shut up.
One America News.
For all our viewers, ask...
Okay, that one was thoroughly stupid. Let's go on to the next one. Okay, you're gonna look for another article with me because I really don't feel like stopping and pausing. Let's see here. Ukraine war zone site. No, I don't want to talk about Ukraine. Excuse me. Biden not considering $50,000 in student loan debt relief. More economic problems ahead, says Treasury Secretary. That's because... Okay, ma'am. She over here looking like Mr. Magoo. Okay, here we go. It's something that I can read. Yay. Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen is defending Joe Biden's spending packages despite the record-setting inflation and a slump in first quarter GDP. While speaking at the Brookings Institution on Thursday, she said the U.S. is facing major economic problems in the near future. Yellen then pointed to skyrocketing costs of fuel, supply chain disruptions, and low labor productivity as main reasons for concern. The U.S. economy contracted by 1.4% in the first 3 months of this year, while inflation hit a 42-year high. In recent weeks, energy price movements have been another significant source of global economic shocks, stated the Treasury Secretary. The Biden administration's proposed energy agenda is designed to diminish our reliance on fossil fuels and help achieve greater energy independence. Didn't Trump try to do that when he decided to use the pipeline in Canada, but Biden was like, no, it's not a good idea because it wasn't mine? Man, she looked weird as heck. I've never seen somebody look so retarded. I'm sorry. I don't usually use that word, but oh my god. Republican lawmakers have said Biden why did I say that word? Underestimated U.S. energy independence by restricting oil pipelines and drilling in the U.S. and making America reliant on imports from overseas. Let me read that again. Republican lawmakers have said Biden undermined U.S. energy independence by restricting oil pipelines and drilling in the U.S. and making America reliant on the imports from overseas. Yes. Yep. That's true, and it's stupid. Our GDP decreased at an annual rate of 1.4 in the first quarter of this year. This is the weakest showing since the pandemic recovery began nearly 2 years ago, yet Biden and House Democrats are still doubling down on their failed socialist agenda. Of course, because they don't want to be wrong. Have you ever met somebody who just ends up like finding an argument and would just argue that until they're blue in the face, even though there's so much evidence stacked up against them, but they will still defend their, idea of why they believe that this is right, and they just keep on saying that they're right. That's Joe Biden and this lady who looks like Mr. Magoo. So, We're just gonna insert the advertisement right here. Let's go. Hello, my renegades. If you haven't heard about Anchor by Spotify, it's the easiest way to make a podcast with everything you need all in one place. Let me explain. Anchor has tools that allow you to record and edit your podcast right from your phone and computer, and when hosting on Anchor, you can distribute your podcast on listening platforms like Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and many more. It's everything you need to make a podcast in one place. And best of all, Anchor is totally free. Download your Anchor app or go to anchor.fm to get started. It's a lot of fun, so come join us. Name it on my ADD, baby. Whatever happened to Sail? That's not... That's not the band name. I don't even know what band sings that song. I'm getting off track. Let's see here. 16 states sue USPS over potential gas truck purchase. We all know that inflation is at an all-time high at the moment, so... Is there more news? No, they just give you a handful. It's the only problem. Okay. Representative Fred Keller, we need an America First agenda.
Pennsylvania Congressman Fred Keller is a member of the House Oversight Committee, and he shares why we are seeing record high inflation. One America's Caitlin Sinclair has more from New York.
Congressman Keller, thank you for your time today, sir. Right now, the American people continue to deal with crippling inflation, with insecurity at home, a wide open southern border, and just overall incompetent decisions at every turn coming from this administration. You have deemed returning to American energy as the key to tackling inflation. And the American people continue to feel this every single day when they go to pump their gas at the grocery store. What needs to happen, Congressman?
Well, the Biden administration needs to get back to the policies that we know work, and that's putting America first. And it starts with our energy industry. From the day Joe Biden got sworn into office, he had this assault on American energy. What he needs to do is send a message that American energy is here and it's here to stay. And the way he does that is by restarting the construction on the Keystone XL pipeline, taking us out of the Paris Climate Accords, expediting permits for LNG exporting facilities, getting the leases going on federal lands, and then, looking at the permitting so that they can get the pipelines, our energy producers can get the pipelines and the exploration and the drilling underway. That's what needs to happen because there isn't a thing in our economy that gets done without American energy.
So the Biden administration continues to blame inflation on what they're labeling the Putin price hike. I think we're all sick of that line. But surely, where is this confusion on the timeline even possibly coming from? How can they get away with trying to fool us anymore when the dates don't even match up? And do the American people know the reality here?
There is no confusion on this. The American people are very well aware of when this started to happen. Certainly what happened in Ukraine didn't help, but that's not the underlying cause of why we're experiencing this inflation. This started well before that. We don't need excuses. We need action. We need action that puts America first, whether it comes to energy, whether it comes to food security, whether it comes to our southern border. We need to start putting Americans first. That's what happened under the 4 years of Donald Trump, and that's why we had the greatest economy the world had ever seen.
You said that inflation is a form of tax on the American people. Congressman, can you elaborate on that?
Absolutely. Because the government caused the inflation by reckless spending under the Biden administration and incentivizing people not to work, the government put more money in, goods and services weren't being delivered or produced. And what happens is the government forced prices to go up. And because of that, the government is forcing people to have to dig deeper into their pockets to afford the same things they afforded last year.
Yeah. So while some seem to be worried about who owns Twitter right now, there are millions of Americans who are worried about putting food on the table this year, worried about a recession, worried about who is crossing our border illegally every day. In recent weeks, the worry has shifted to the potential end of Title 42. So saying goodbye to the little bit of border protection that we even have. Again, another message that this administration thinks Americans should come last.
I've been to the border. That's something that the president can't say, and I spent a lot more time there than the vice president did, looking at what the causes were. I mean, the reversal of the Biden administration, getting away from the Trump policies that work, the remain in Mexico, building the border wall to secure our southern border, and giving Customs and Border Patrol the tools they need to do their jobs. And the Biden administration has not been doing that, and they need to do it. But so it's not a hard stop. It's just a matter of them wanting to put America first.
Yes, Congressman, thank you for your perspective and for fighting for that agenda every single day.
Thank you, Caitlin. I appreciate it.
Yeah, I don't really have much to say about that one, but... Now it's time for useless news. Stuff that you'll learn that you probably don't need to learn. Now, if you haven't been here long enough, Renegade Times usually consists of 3 types of news, okay? Politics, useless news, which is just me finding random facts to spit out for y'all, because usually politics just kind of exhausts me because the way of the world is going, I just don't like it, so that kind of helps me, give myself a break, and hopefully I give you guys a break by just telling you interesting things. And then we have world news, since Anchor has a feature that tells me what country is listening. So, and yes, welcome Vietnam. I don't know if I welcomed you yet, but welcome. Thank you for listening. I appreciate you. But anyway, 10 abandoned cities and towns around the world you can visit. And they have this really interesting picture that I really want to go. If this is actually a place, I want to go, because it looks like it's either underwater or it's just got a bunch of sand like inside the building. I want to see it. Anyway, when you think of ghost towns, you probably imagine some abandoned mining town in the Old West, complete with dusty saloons and tumbleweeds, but empty cities can be found for beyond where the hypothetical buffalo roam. We're talking some of the farthest stretches of the planet. Yep. Even Antarctica. Okay, cool. And of course they would put Ukraine up here first. Pripyat, Ukraine. I feel like I've either tried doing this one before, or maybe I have, but you know what, we're just gonna keep going. Pripyat was the city most affected by the Chernobyl nuclear disaster in 1986, an infamous incident that released massive amounts of radiation into the world. The accident forced entire towns to abruptly empty out, and the area within a 19-mile radius of the plant was deemed uninhabitable for at least another 180 years. Traveler contributor Cynthia Drescher wrote after a recent visit. How to visit. The Chernobyl region is about 2 hours away from Kiev, and the tours range from private visits to multi-day itineraries. Okay. I have a question though. Is there still radiation traces? Because I don't want to leave the place with my hair falling out. I love my hair. Okay. Kennecott, Alaska. It's got a... is it a train bridge? Alright. Nearly 200 million worth of copper was processed at Kennecott, a self-contained mining town located in Wrangell, St. Elias National Park. From 1911 to 1938, according to the National Park Service. As these stories usually go, the residents cleared out once the copper resources started to dwindle, and most of the buildings have now been abandoned for around 60 years. There is hope on the horizon. However, the NPS acquired many of the Kennecott's buildings and lands in 1998 and hoped to restore some of the buildings, like the post office and general store, for modern use. How to visit. The NPS-run Visitor Center is open from Memorial Day through Labor Day, where you can pick up brochures and arrange guided tours with a park ranger. Yay! This is an abandoned playground. Nope. This is a nope for me. Pyramiden, Svalbard, Norway. Let's see if I can say that again, because I love trying to pronounce crap, you guys know. Pyramiden Svalbard, Norway. I love Norway! Anyway, here's the story. The archipelago of Svalbard, located halfway between the mainland of Norway and the North Pole, is home to about 2,145 humans and 1,000 polar bears. Well, and one seriously bone-chilling ghost town, Pyramiden, named for the pyramid-shaped mountain looming nearby. Pyramiden came to prominence in the 1930s when the Soviets took ownership of the area, the area's coal fields, and quickly began mining operations. After World War II, they started spending more money on the enterprise during building hospitals, cafeterias, and houses, all in the block-style fashion typical of Soviet-era architecture. They also built graveyards for both humans and cats because pet cemeteries were always a good idea. The coal mines were never profitable. However, the biggest hit came in 1996 when an airplane flying from Moscow to Svalbard crashed en route, killing all 141 passengers on board. Many of the Pyramiden residents, many of them were Pyramiden residents. Oh my god. Jesus. That's terrible. The tragedy slashed morale, and the site was fully abandoned in 1998. As for the site today, Rachel Newer of Smithsonian Magazine sums it up. It was if several hundred people had abruptly stopped what they were doing. I'm so sorry. I'm really bad. I have morning brain at the moment. But they stopped what they were doing and simply walked away. I kind of feel like that's how a lot of abandoned places end up looking, because either a tragedy happened like that, or it just wasn't a practical place to live anymore, so they just kind of left everything. Oradour sur Glane, France. On June 10th, 1944, German troops raided the village of Oradour sur Glane and murdered 642 men, women, and children. Jeez, in 1944, so this was around World War II. Why did you kill men, women, and children? The National Geographic reports, after the massacre, the military set fire to churches, barns, and homes, leaving behind only a few surviving residents. The village has remained untouched since the horrific incident, serving a shrine to those who died that June day. Oh! It is a real place! Colemanskop, Nambia. Okay, this place is in Nambia. You wouldn't guess by looking at it now, but the town of Colemanskop was once a hotspot for diamond mining and extravagance in 1908. But once the fair weather inhabitants discovered more diamonds south of Colemanskop, the site instantly became a ghost town. So that is just sand. It looks like it's underwater, to be honest, but it's not. That is strange. I would just love to just be in that building. I don't know why. You ever just see a picture and you just want to be in it? That's me right now. Wachua. We're gonna say Waita because it's South Island. We'll just say South Island, New Zealand. How about that? I'm sorry for pronouncing things wrong today. In the early 1900s, miners, all of them are mining cities, most of them. Miners built towns right on top of a whole lot of gold, bearing quartz rock, which would go on to produce 750,000 ounces of gold from 1.5 million tons of quartz. According to New Zealand's Department of Conservation, by the 1930s, the town had its own hospital, police station, and post office, plus a population of 600. The isolated city thrived until the main mining shaft collapsed in 1951, forcing residents to abandon their town. Let's see. Today, the Department of Conservation works to preserve the remaining buildings and hiking trails around the site. The department even converted one of the buildings, the Waichua Lodge, to a 30-bunk facility for school groups and campers needing overnight accommodation. Oh, that's cool. Bodie, California. That one looks like a haunted place, I'm sorry. Now, this is the Old West ghost town you're looking for. Once home to 10,000 people, Bodie boomed in the late 1880s for gold was found in the hills surrounding Mono Lake. Not long after, though, Bodie transitioned into a period of steady decline, as mining towns are usually... That's a typo. As mining towns are wont to do? Okay, ma'am, whatever. Until reaching ghost town status around 1915, according to California Department Parks and Recreation records. So why is the city in such a great shape today? You can thank the state of California for adopting the town and turning it into a state historical park in 1962. Bowdoin has been preserved in an unnerving state of arrested decay, shunning graffiti artists and welcoming visitors from nearby Yosemite ever since. Okay. Craco, Italy. Founded in the 8th century, the hilltop town of Craco had a rough go of things several centuries. I didn't want to be this way today. I have days where I can read and days when I can't. I don't know why. Founded in the 8th century, hilltop town of Craco had a rough go for things for several centuries, falling victim to earthquakes, wars, and Black Plague. I'd leave the place. I'd move. The final straw was the landslide of 1906. That's the last straw, not the Black Plague, though. Okay. Which forced all remaining residents to evacuate, late reports. Let's see. The original city sits in a state of slow decay on its 1,300-foot high perch, although its popularity among tourists has yet to waver. I don't know about y'all, but if Black Plague can survive on ice, I'm sure it can survive on stone, so I will not be visiting. We already have Corona to deal with. We don't need the Black Plague. I'm just saying. Thames Town, Shanghai, China. Okay. China is a big fan of replica cities. In fact, Shanghai has 7 European-themed towns built to give wealthy residents a new place to call home. There is a Dutch-inspired canal-lined neighborhood, a Paris replica complete with 300-foot Eiffel Tower, and even a slice of Sweden inspired churches and Nordic houses included. But we're particular fans of Thamestown, a British copycat just 40 minutes from downtown Shanghai. Here you'll find a scale of replica Christ Church, statues of Shakespeare and Winston Churchill, and even some familiar red telephone booths scattered here and there. As curiously cute as this mini city sounds on paper, it ended up being a complete failure. Dang, okay. In fact, all of 7 experimental towns are now pretty much abandoned. That's crazy. Whalers Bay, Deception Island, Antarctica. Okay, well, it's called Deception Island. There's a reason why they decided to freaking name it that. I'm not touching it. Starting in the early 1900s, Deception Bay served a premier destination for whalers who used the bay as a safe place to process whale carcasses. What the hell was that? That scared me to death. I don't know if you guys heard that, but that was just a really loud noise. A Norwegian whaling company established a permanent station during this time, setting up houses for workers and installing giant boilers used to extract oil from the whales. The station was abandoned in 1931 due to the lowering whale oil prices, but the bay's history does not end there. Slate reports. Okay. Several countries squabbled over the island during and after World War II, but then everyone threw in the towel after a volcanic eruption in 1969. Phew, okay. Today, the bay is a common stop on Antarctic expedition cruises. Antarctica, okay. And that's it. We're going to the next one. Hopefully I do better. This one is interesting. The 7 types of rest that every person needs. So let's go. First type of rest we need is physical rest, which can be passive or active. Passive physical rest includes sleeping and napping, while active physical rest means restorative activities such as yoga, stretching, and massage therapy that can help improve the body's circulation and flexibility. Very true. The second type is mental rest. Yes, we all need mental rest after the last 2 years. Okay. Let's see. Do you know that coworker who starts work every day with a huge cup of coffee? He's often irritable and forgetful, and he has a difficult time concentrating on his work. When he lies down at night to sleep, frequently struggles to turn off his brain, as conversations from the day fill his thoughts. And despite sleeping 7 to 8 hours, he wakes up feeling as if he never went to bed. He has a mental rest deficit. So, this is off topic, but, the guy is drinking coffee. I'm convinced, that coffee is a weapon of biochemical terrorism. Okay? And I'll tell you why. I don't know why I decided to put this in here in the middle of this freaking... How can a brown liquid, how can a liquid change a person's mood so quickly? I'm telling you, Starbucks and just coffee in general, man, it's a biochemical weapon. They finally figured out mind control, people. It's caffeine. It's good though. It's really good. Alright. The good news is that you don't have to quit your job or go on vacation to fix this. Schedule short breaks to occur every 2 hours throughout your workday. These breaks can remind you to slow down. You might also keep a notepad by the bed to jot down nagging thoughts that would keep you awake. I would say, especially like if you have problems with overthinking and stuff like that, journaling is very, very, very helpful. I keep a journal, and I'm on my 5th one. And I just like writing about my day personally. So keeping a journal really, really helps too. Because it kind of just empties your mind of all the clutter and you're able to function better. The 3rd type of rest we need is sensory rest. Bright lights, computer screens, background noise, and multiple conversations. Whether you're in an office or on Zoom calls, can cause your senses to feel overwhelmed. This can be countered by doing something as simple as closing your eyes for a minute in the middle of the day, as well by intentionally unplugging from electronics at the end of every day. Intentional movements of sensory deprivation can begin to undo the damage inflicted by the overstimulating world. So the one thing that I can recommend is, for one, unplug. That is something that I struggle with, I will confess. Because a lot of the time, like, I use my phone or use my computer or tablet or whatever electronic I have on hand to kind of update my podcasts. I write stories. I do a lot on the computer. I write, I post my art, I post, updates on Instagram for my podcast and all this other stuff. So a lot of the time, what I use this, like, social media for is for a purpose. But then there are times when I feel myself slipping into TikTok or Facebook or something like that. And that's when I kind of need to, pull away and unplug. Because there are things on TikTok or Facebook or whatever that doesn't need to fill my mind, that I don't need my mind to be focusing on. But I would say, for one, make sure that, if you are on social media, make sure that it's for a purpose instead of for recreation all of the time. Finding a book to read is really good too, because I feel like reading an actual book with pages is something that we don't do anymore. And also, if you really need a sensory rest, there are spas with sensory deprivation tanks, which I would love to do at some point, because you can like float in the water, and they have like this egg-shaped tank that you can, they shut on you. I know it sounds really scary, but it's actually not. There's comforting like lights in there and music and stuff like that can really help you out. And if you can't afford that, lock yourself in the bathroom and turn the lights off for a while. Take a bath in the dark, because that helps as well, because you're not you're not actually focusing on any lights, so like secluding yourself in darkness is actually kind of good for you, especially since you have like a phone light illuminating your eyes a lot of the time. You know, giving your eyes that break is a good thing. Let's see. The fourth type is creative rest. Okay, I need to hear this one. This type of rest is especially important for anyone who must solve problems or brainstorm new ideas. Okay. Creative rest reawakens the awe and wonder inside each of us. Do you recall the first time you saw the Grand Canyon, the ocean, or waterfall? Allowing yourself to take in the beauty of the outdoors, even if it's at a local park or in your backyard, provides you with creative rest. But creative rest isn't simply about appreciating nature. It also includes enjoying the arts. Turn your workspace into a place of inspiration by displaying images and places you love and works of art that speak to you. You can't spend 40 hours a week staring at a blank or jumbled surroundings and expect to feel passionate about anything, much less come up with innovative ideas. Now let's take a look at another individual, the friend whom everyone thinks is the nicest person they've ever met. It's the person everyone depends on, and the one you'd call if you needed a favor, because even if they don't want to do it, you know they'll give you a reluctant yes rather than a truthful no. But when the person is alone, they feel unappreciated and like others are taking advantage of them. The person requires emotional rest, which means having the time and space to freely express your feelings and cut back on people pleasing. Okay, before we go into emotional rest, which is something that they segued into, I will say that I have kind of experienced how like your creativity can be drained from you. Like I said, I write stories on Wattpad. Don't ask me, because I like to keep my Wattpad and Rogue Radio separate. That's just me. But if you end up finding me, hi, it's not under Rogue Radio, I'm just saying hi. Anyway, I will say that I love writing stories. That's like my thing. I love to write a lot. I'm a big fangirl, so I write fan fiction. And a lot of the time when my readers want another story, they're like, oh, you know, I would love to see another sequel to this book and all this stuff. And I'm just like, okay, let me figure out a plot for it, and then I'll just rattle them off very quickly. But there are stories that I'm not at all very proud of. I wrote a 5-book series at one point recently. Finished it, I want to say, the beginning of this year. And one of the stories, like book 3, was just trash. I hated it. I loved the idea of it, but I came from book 2, and everybody loved that. Everybody loved the character. Everybody wanted more and more and more, and I was like, okay, let me see if I can, like, get it out there for a third one, so people can really kind of get more content. But I was so displeased of book 3 that I just kind of left it, and I was like, after I was finished, I was like, thank God! And it took me a very long time to get on to book 4, because book 3 was such a disaster. I still loved the storyline, I still loved the reason why I made it, but I hated the way I went about writing it, if that makes any sense. Because I didn't take any creative rest between those stories. And I kind of understand now that that's something that I need to do personally as a creative person, that I have to take rests in between stories, or even in between paintings, or even between the process of painting something, because I paint as well. It's something that I love to do. It's something that I'm passionate about. I even have my own art room. And I've realized that if I am frustrated with the process of a painting, which I feel like a lot of artists go through because they want instant results because they have a vision in their head and the canvas isn't matching what's going on in their head. And they'll do their best to push through the process while they're frustrated, and they're not thinking clearly of the techniques that they're using because they're so frustrated. And then all of a sudden you have trash on the canvas. It's something that I've gone through. I'm sure it's something that a lot of painters have gone through. What we're experiencing is the ugly duckling phase of a painting, which is something that you either have to push through calmly or you have to take a break from. Because if it frustrates you so much to the point where you need a break, then you probably need a break from the canvas. Because the ugly duckling phase of a, painting or even a picture or even a work of art or whatever you do, you're trying to see the vision, you're trying to, see what's coming out of this lump of creativity that you're trying to kind of mold into something beautiful, but it's starting to look ugly. But that's just the process. It's the process of the work of art. It happens, but if it frustrates you so much, taking a break is something that you need to do. It's not something that you should do. It is something that you should do. It's just something that you need to be doing, especially if you're not pleased with the final result. Take breaks, especially if you're frustrated with your own work. So yes, after that whole long story, I understand creative rest now. If you're in need of emotional rest, you probably have a social rest deficit too. Okay? This occurs when we fail to differentiate between those relationships that revive us from those relationships that exhaust us. To experience more social rest, surround yourself with positive and supportive people, even if your interactions have to occur virtually. You can choose to engage more fully in them by turning on your camera and focusing on who you're speaking to. So I understand that one too, but I'll wait for a minute. The final type of rest is spiritual rest, which is the ability to connect beyond the physical, mental, and feel a deep sense of belonging, love, and acceptance and purpose. To receive this, engage in something greater than yourself and add prayer, meditation, community involvement in your daily routine. And you can see sleep alone can't restore us to the point we feel rested. So it's time for us to begin focusing on getting the right type of rest we need. So that's good. I would say social rest is something that introverts do actually very well. I feel like there's at least two types of people that we surround ourselves with. I'm sure there's more, but there's people who hype you up and are proud of you, that support you, that support system, and there are people that you gravitate to when things go down because you know that they're, people that you can depend on. I call them soul friends because they're the people that connect to your soul and actually bring better things to your life that your soul needs. Then you have friends that are just either there or they're actually draining your soul, meaning that they're not actually very good for you at all. And this can also kind of go into family members as well. There's certain family members that you gravitate to because they're good people, and then there's family members that you just don't want to see or be around because you know they're either going to drain your soul or exhaust you from the interaction. And that's something a lot of people don't realize, is that family members can do that too, just as much as friends can. And it's okay to say no to certain meetings or certain outings with your family. I feel like a lot of people try to make excuses for family when they shouldn't, because if they're really dragging you down, you shouldn't be in that, environment. I will say that family does do a lot of damage more than friends can, because they're familiar to you. They know you more. They know you inside and out. They know how you operate. They know what makes you tick. And because of that, they're able to irk you in ways that your friends can't. And if they irk you so much, then you're allowed to say no to them. You're allowed to let them know, like, listen, this is crossing my boundaries. I don't like this. And I've heard so many people say, well, that's my brother, or that's my grandma, or that's my mom. I shouldn't treat them like that. I'm like, okay, but it's okay for them to treat you like that, right? Just know your soul. Know what your soul needs, basically. Yeah, there is no news on Vietnam because Anchor decided to delete my whole recording on Vietnam, and I don't have the time anymore to read it again because I have to go. But trust me, next episode, I promise, Vietnam. But thank you so much for listening. I am honored that you guys are listening, and I hope and pray that you guys will stay and become renegades with us. But thank you so much for everyone else listening, and I will see you in the trenches next time. See ya.